Usually when a movie ends the same way it starts, it's a pretty boring movie. That's what happened in Italy. But when it happens in Italy, it's called Calcio. Juve and Milan here on the Calcio guys with a Juve fan and Milan fan. Adriano, I'm Nicholas. You can follow us on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Adrian, how's it going?
It's going good, man. Action-packed night tonight, Monday night here at the Calcio guys. So stay tuned for what we have coming. And yeah, man, always happy to talk. I know you're Johnny. We're Saint Johnny today, but we'll have to make do.
It's okay. It's okay. Well, he's busy in Anaheim enjoying the weather. So you know what? Back in Montreal,
But hey,
beautiful weather
to
here.
be fair, we had a good weather today.
Beautiful
So
weather. Nice and
we
hot,
can't
27
complain.
degrees in what are we, October 6th, we're recording. So this is going to be a short episode, whoever's listening. We are going to have Rocco from FC Super du Quebec on later in about 20-something minutes. And so we'll talk Italian calcio now, and we'll talk Canadian calcio after. But yeah, Adri, it's funny. Look, I've known you 25 years now. We met in September 2000. And somehow all of our friendships led to this moment of watching Juve Milan 0-0, one of the more boring derbies. I have to look. I don't know when was the last time a Juve Milan game finished 0-0.
A couple years ago, I think, no?
There maybe was one, yeah. Can't say it was uneventful because there's all the storylines going in and this and that now, and even the missed penalty, missed chances from David. So missed penalty from Pulisic, the American, missed chances from David, the Canadian. But honestly, watching it, like I can't say it was a bad game. You could tell it was a well-coached game between Allegri and Tudor. You could tell it was two coaches that prepared their teams well. But then it led to a defensive masterclass, which some people will say is boring. I do think it was boring in a way because it's not like there was a lot of chances, right? Besides a couple of missed chances, like I said, from David, the missed penalty from Pulisic. It's not like it was a back and forth crazy game. It's almost as if both teams were afraid to lose. I think that's the way it was. They were afraid to lose, afraid to give up the ball. So that kind of led to it. For Juve now, it's what, 5 straight games with a draw? Like, man, if I wanted to watch draws, I'd go to like a painting competition or something. It's pretty crazy. You know, like I think it was last week I said 3 draws is the same as 1 win and 2 losses. At this point, it's 5 draws is the same as what? It's almost the same as 2 wins, and if they draw next game, it's gonna be the same as 2 wins and 4 losses, right?
Yeah.
So whatever. Yeah, I think whenever you drop points at home, it's frustrating. But I think also for Milan, it has to feel like drop points as well.
Oh, big time, man. And honestly, I know we like to joke back and forth and whatever. We were kind of cordial after the match, right? There was not really much banter to say, back and forth. So like you mentioned, we didn't do much. You guys didn't do much, and at the end, we kind of just shake hands and go home. But missed opportunity for sure. I would say not forget obviously all the opportunities in the match, but just as a whole, a lot of Milan fans were saying and kind of breaking it down. The two biggest tests, and I had said it a couple of weeks ago. The two big tests that are coming up for Milan were obviously last week's match against Napoli and this week's game against Juventus. So, I guess if you would ask Milan fans going into that, would you take 4 points out of a possible 6? They would probably say yes, without kind of seeing what transpired in the matches. But after witnessing what we witnessed yesterday, it's a bit of a dagger because I think 6 from 6 after watching what we saw should have been the result for Milan. I think ultimately, I know it wasn't like you said the typical back and forth and crazy chances and this and that, but there were chances to be had, especially for Milan. And if I were to say, I know the stats were pretty even, but the quality chances, I think Milan's where I think ultimately I think they could have came out there with the win. The biggest chance for Juve besides Twinkle Toes, Jonathan David slipping on a God knows what on the pitch there at Allianz Stadium. If it wasn't for that, then the biggest chance for Juve, I think, was the Gatti right in front of the net, and Manuel makes again one of his timely saves and a huge save that honestly probably saved that point if anything. So on Milan's side, I think there was a bit more. Obviously, the penalty miss was obviously the big focal point. Pulisic, I would say 9 times out of 10 he makes those. So you have to you can't get too hard on him. I don't think obviously in the moment you're pissed and you're mad, but the best of them miss, right? I think it was Patrick Kendrick on the call had to bring up Roberto Baggio 94, right? So even the best ones and the goats of the sport miss. So uh, you know I'm it's unfortunate. I'm not going to knock Pulisic all too much just because he's been one of if not our best player to start off the season. So but besides that, obviously for me the two, I would say two clear cut chances for Rafael after coming on. I think were ones that, and even Allegri said it, post match in the presser. A player of his quality in a position like that inside the area, uh, you know, basically one on one with the keeper, if you will. You have to score at least one of those, and he scored none. So the at the back post, after that, I forget who the cross was by. It might have been by Pulisic. With the left foot, he kind of drags it wide, and a real striker, if I will. The prototypical number nines will finish those chances. That it wasn't to be for him. It's unfortunate, and he had a chance to win the game at the end. Right, a beautiful pass by Luka Modric, which we haven't seen that pass in a Milan shirt in quite some time. Right, that really devastating pass inside the box. And again, he fluffs his shot, and it's kind of just one of these missed opportunities again. So I think ultimately, forget the thing of the storyline of both teams not wanting to lose. I think also it just overall missed opportunity on both ends, because at the end of it, Nick, we come into this weekend expecting a lot, and we come out just the exact same, and it does no good for both our teams. This result, the 1 point. Okay, yeah, you'll take the point just because you rather won rather than zero, but in terms of the standings, it really doesn't do much in our favor, especially what happened in the other matches across Serie A. So uh, overall, I think missed opportunity. It hurts. We go into the international break having to constantly chew at this result, and hopefully not don't swallow on it, right? But I'm just hopefully after the international break, I can speak for Milan. I know you'll probably think the same for Juve. Kind of get back on track and kind of put this match behind us.
Yeah, it does suck. We have to wait on it 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, we got Italy qualifiers coming up that we're all going to be super nervous about, right? Uh,
exactly.
but like Jonathan David, one thing I'll say, um, look, I
Terrible.
said
Come on.
this. What?
He looked awful. I'm sorry.
No, this is not the Jonathan David we know. But I said this before the season. I'm going to defend him no matter what, right? But also, he's a finisher. He's not the type of striker that he's going to do everything on his own. Juve doesn't have that type of striker. Even Vlahovic, Openda, definitely not. One thing I'll say: all three of Juve's strikers right now aren't scoring goals. They have 9 goals on the season in 6 games, and 4 of those came against Inter. So in 5 other games, they have 5 goals.
Oh, so
So
yeah,
yes, you could criticize. Um, you could criticize David. That slip was embarrassing. This and that. But right now, it's a whole attack that's very questionable. I do like the defense. I do like that we got a clean sheet because it was a bit more questionable, especially heading into the game, right? Without Bremer, Gatti, man, he's soft. I don't like Gatti anymore. We saw this even in the Champions League game. He just lets his man go too easily. He likes watching the ball. Like I get it. He's a fan. He's a fan of the game. He's like us, Adrian. Imagine if we had a front row seat to these beautiful goals.
yeah,
I'd love to watch too, but he's getting paid to make stops, right?
yeah.
So it's a bit frustrating to watch Gatti these days. I think right now Juve's defense, the depth is kind of in question, especially starting Rugani, and then the fact that he had to be subbed off later, it's in question. So the break couldn't have come at a better time, right? So it'll be interesting to see what happens after. But yeah, I would just like to see a lot more attack. Look, it went well, even in the Champions League, they got crazy overhead kick right from Gatti, who's right now looks better as a striker than a defender. But yeah, we'll see what comes after the break.
I just think also like it was. I don't know if it was the Allegri reunion. First time back at Allianz Stadium since being their coach and all. But I don't know, like it just something wasn't clicking in the final third, and there were, and like we mentioned, there were chances, guys. Like it's not like there wasn't any chances. I know it finished 0-0, but you know, that penalty goes in. Gatti maybe scores that. Magnan's not there to make that timely save. It's a 1-1 ball game, and there's all to play for, right? So, um, I think we could have seen some goals. I liked. I think maybe at least last season, I think Milan would have found a way to lose this game. I think the presence of Allegri, slowly, like I've mentioned in previous episodes, has really he's put his imprint on this team, and they're really shoring up that defense for Milan. So it's a clean sheet for Milan as well, but one where you would rather have a goal rather than none on your end. But a warm welcome for Allegri, I think was merited. I think it was a bit of a different story in terms of Rabiot, but again, overall, I think these are matches where because I think the top four race, Nick, we kind of previewed it obviously at the beginning of the year, and over these last couple of weeks, we've kind of seen some changes, and it's going to be another fight to the finish, man. We've seen this, in quite a few of these last few seasons, and if not all of them, there's been what, 4 or 5 different champions over the last handful of years, so. It's really anybody's for the taking, and I think the big dogs are going to be there at the end. And these are points where, again, like I said, it's okay. We'll take the point and go, but these might be results where you look back on and say, "Man, it was really a missed opportunity," and something that you're kind of you're kicking the curb for and whatnot. But like I said, overall, I think there were players that for Milan at least that I liked. Bertisaghi had to step in, the 19-year-old left back. I think he did pretty well for his start from minute one. He looked ready to go, and it's encouraging. And another young Italian in the league. It's nice to see them getting some minutes finally. I know it's because of suspension to Estupinian, but still, he stepped up when needed. I think honestly, I think Leao. I know Leao's getting all the flack, and rightfully so, because again, you have to finish at least one of those chances that you had if you want to be the guy for Milan. So, but personally, I don't know if he's 100% fit, and it's not making an excuse, guys, but it just it's I think it's the truth. Him and Kunku, they didn't look all there. Maybe would have kept on Santi Menez for a bit longer, but even him, like you said with David, he's not a guy to create on his own. They need that service, and I don't know. I know there's been a lot of talk with different reporters asking Allegri, is the introduction of Leao and Nkunku and the forward players that you have, this 3-5-2, is it going to really mold into working with these players that you have? And he seems to think so, and hopefully it is to be going forward. But I just feel like some of these attacking players, they look less dangerous when they're not in their correct position. So again, we have to wait the next 2 weeks to kind of sleep on this result. But it's not going to get any easier. And like I said earlier, the teams around them, the Romas of the world, the Napolis of the world, the Inters of the world as well, right? Nick, they're getting the results when we're not. So we have to keep an eye.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna make. I know we got 5 minutes left, Adri, but
Yeah, yeah,
that's exactly the next point I was gonna say. You look ahead, especially the top two right now, Napoli, Roma. I wish Johnny was here to talk about it because these
yeah.
are two teams that came back this weekend and won, and that's the type of, I guess you could say, grinta, the
Well,
type
it's those
of
ugly. It's those ugly wins, right?
yeah,
Like when you're
win.
not playing well, or you're down, and do you find a way to get all 3 points and to go across the finish line with the win? They did, and unfortunately, Milan or Juventus didn't. So you have to be able to do that. And I thought with a guy like Allegri, because he was made a career of that when he was at Juve, really getting those those cortomuso, those ugly quote unquote wins, you have to be able to find that extra gear when it matters, and they did.
Yeah, exactly. Look, Napoli, it was a 33rd minute goal against Genoa, and then Anguissa and Hoyland came back goals in the second half.
Yeah,
Roma was fantastic start to the season. It was all in the first half, Keane, and then followed up by Sule and Cristante. And so these are two teams that I guess you could say the break is coming at a bad time because they're hot. They don't want that break.
we'll
So
take it.
yeah, but for Roma, I think they actually play Inter when they come back after the break. So that's gonna be
Wow,
a spicy game.
huge match.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good game.
And even Inter, right? Like I know
Yeah,
a lot of
4-1.
people 4-1, right? Boni, it was the Boni show, right? But um, even them, right? Like started off the season, the first few weeks, and it didn't look too good. The loss to Udinese, the drop points here, players not playing up to scruff, and the crazy game against Juve in the derby, right? And slowly they're marching their way up the table. So again, no lead is safe, like we like to say, right? Especially in the Serie A. So that's why, man, you have to these teams at the top, they're gonna have to really watch out. The one benefit that I can say for Milan is obviously the one game a week. These other teams, the Juves, the Inters, the Napolis, the Romas, they're playing multiple times with the European competition. So I think it's going to be all for the taking, and like I said earlier, it's going to be a fight to the finish for sure.
Adri, this has to be the shortest episode in Calcio Guys history. We're gonna cut it, but for those listening, we're gonna have another episode up.
Yes, sir.
We haven't decided the order in which we're gonna release them. So if you came to the end, you might see the other episode up. You might have to wait. But we're gonna switch it up. We're gonna talk some Canadian Calcio with Rocco from FC Super Quebec, the new team in the Canadian Premier League.
Yeah.
Before we go for this episode, where can people find us on social media?
Yeah, guys. So it's gonna sound like broken record twice tonight, but yeah, man. Follow us at the Culture Guys. Like Nick said at the open to the show, follow us on all socials at the Culture Guys. It really does go a long way. It helps us tremendously, and it's really appreciate all the love and support. So on all socials at the Culture Guys. For the audio version of the podcast, on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Remember to rate with 5 stars. Leave us a comment. Any feedback as well. And for all the video content of the pod, you have to subscribe on YouTube. Again, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Leave a comment. Yeah, man. And we'll be back very soon, not next week, very soon, to talk a lot more culture.
Thanks for listening.
Ciao.